You can be alone without feeling lonely, and you can feel lonely in a crowded room. That difference sounds philosophical, but in a large new scientific study, it produced different biological and psychiatric patterns. Researchers used data from 383,000 people in the UK Biobank. They defined social isolation using objective features such as living alone, infrequent contact, and limited participation in social activities. Loneliness was subjective, whether a person often felt lonely and whether they could confide in someone close. The participants were followed for an average of 14 years. The researchers then examined new diagnoses of neurological and psychiatric disorders. Across loneliness and social isolation together, significant associations covered 11 conditions: depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, anxiety disorders, sleep disorders, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, stroke, multiple sclerosis or MS, and epilepsy. Loneliness alone was significantly associated with 7 of those disorders, not all of them. The strongest associations were with schizophrenia, major depression, anxiety, and sleep disorders. Social isolation showed its own pattern, including associations with Alzheimer, Parkinson, MS, and bipolar disorder. Does that mean loneliness causes those brain diseases? No. A long-term association is still stronger than a one-time survey, but it still leaves several possibilities. Loneliness may alter stress hormones, sleep, behavior, or inflammation. A developing illness may also make social interaction harder. And a third factor, such as poverty, disability, or poor health, may increase both loneliness and disease risk. The researchers tried to address this in several ways. They adjusted for demographic and socioeconomic variables. They analyzed brain scans in tens of thousands of participants and found small associations with several brain measurements. They also tested whether blood inflammatory and biochemical markers statistically mediated part of that relationship. The percentages explained were small, which argues against one simple loneliness molecule. They also used Mendelian randomization, a method that uses genetic variants as indirect natural experiments. Some analysis suggested possible effects from loneliness or isolation toward major depression, sleep disorders, schizophrenia, and epilepsy. But the results were not uniformly robust, and reverse directions also appeared for some conditions. So the honest conclusion is not that feeling lonely physically shrinks your brain or guarantees a disease. It is that loneliness and social isolation are measurable risk markers with partly different patterns, and those patterns remain visible across years, medical records, cognition, blood markers, and some brain imaging measures. There's also a human point hidden inside that statistics. Social connection is not merely entertainment layered on top of biology. For a social species like us, the brain continuously estimates whether support, safety, and belonging are available. When that estimate remains negative for years, it may interact with sleep, stress, behavior, and existing vulnerability. The next scientific step is not another dramatic correlation. It is intervention. If loneliness is reduced, do any biological or clinical risks actually change? We don't know that answer. Until we have that evidence, loneliness should be treated as important, but not as a destiny. Did you like this video? Here in this channel of Science and Other Demons, I'm trying to talk about science, philosophy, and other stuff without the hypes. If you like such a thing, you might want to consider subscribing.